Coming up on this edition of Southwest TV News. Over 100 guests joined family and friends from around the world for a ceremony steeped in military tradition to honor Private First Class Lawrence Gordon. The long-awaited new long-term care facility in Swift Current is coming to light. Last month, the province announced that Plenary Group was chosen as the partner for this P3 project. Throughout the summer months, featured events are held at Dockstown, such as this afternoon jam session. Local entertainers showed off their musical talents, while encouraging many of the patrons to hit the dance floor. Thanks for joining us here today. Well, it's taken 70 years, but an Eastend soldier is finally returned home. We have more in today's top story. The community of Eastend was in the spotlight on Wednesday as one of its residents finally came home.
Guard, to the fallen.
Over 100 guests joined family and friends from around the world for a ceremony steeped in military tradition to honor Private First Class Lawrence Gordon. A celebration of life which unveiled the story of how Private First Class Gordon grew up around Eastend and later worked in Wyoming before joining the U.S. Army. In 1944, he went missing and was presumed dead after a battle in France. His body never surfaced, and his whereabouts remained a mystery. However, through the persistence of his family and a long investigation with various international sources and DNA records, it was later discovered that Gordon was buried in a German war cemetery in France. And now, 70 years later, this Southwest soldier has finally come home, led by an RCMP motorcade, which included over 50 motorcyclists from across the U.S. One by one, Canadians and Americans paid tribute to Private First Class Gordon, a long-awaited dream of family members.
No one in the family had ever been to his grave. We thought there was a grave in Europe, so I said to my father that when I had the time and the money, I would visit Europe and I would visit his grave. And of course, whenever I visited France in 2000, I found out that his name was on the wall of the missing and there wasn't a grave. And that's the first time I knew that he was missing in action. And quite frankly, I thought that I would never find him.
The family of Private First Class Gordon was presented numerous mementos, including the Purple Heart, the Good Conduct Medal, and the Gold Star Family Lapel Pin.
We recognize that their family has gone above and beyond the sacrifice of the other military families. It's always an honor to even meet a Gold Star family, and we try to do whatever we can for the Gold Star families.
After 70 years, Private First Class Gordon has returned home to the picturesque hills he once roamed as a young man, while reuniting his family. Southwest TV News is hitting the road with our annual Summer Around the Southwest tour, covering a variety of exciting events across the region. The Southwest TV News Summer Around the Southwest tour is proudly brought to you by Innovation Credit Union. Imagine the possibilities. Financing is the final phase of the new long-term care facility in Swift Current, with just over $2 million still to raise locally. The long-awaited new long-term care facility in Swift Current is coming to light. Last month, the province announced that Plenary Group was chosen as the partner for this P3 project. Now the financing comes into play, with the city of Swift Current and the Cypress Health region responsible for raising their 20%, while the province covers the remaining 80% share. $13.4 million has been raised to date through the City of Swift Current and its investment of $9.8 million, which will be covered through a special tax levy, similar to that already being paid off by local residents for the Cypress Regional Hospital. And $3.6 million is coming from surrounding municipalities, leaving $2.4 million yet to raise, an amount which the Cypress Health region is confident will be raised locally. and meet the deadline for financial close on the project in September.
Well, there's a few municipalities that haven't made their full commitment yet, and we're still hoping that they come through. You know, it's not that they're not, I don't think that they're not in favor of the project, it's just they need some more information. And I got to tell you, I mean, we'll have bake sales if we have to raise the $2.4 million, but we will raise the money. There's been a lot of other communities in the province that have raised their 20% share. Maple Creek, for example, they raised over $12 million in, it seems like a couple weeks. So I really don't see any problem with us raising the 15.7 that we have. So we'll just keep moving ahead.
Bragg further adds that the Dr. Noble Irwin Regional Healthcare Foundation will play a key role in the long-term care project, but not for bricks and mortar.
The foundation has been fantastic to us over the many years that they've been in place, and they're going to do a lot of help with us to raise some funding for the furnishings for the facility. So we don't want to burden them with the 2.4 that really has to come from the community.
If all goes according to schedule, sod will be turned for the new long-term care facility in Swift Current this fall, with an opening date set for the summer of 2016. Another exciting season of Market Square returns to downtown Swift Current, featuring live entertainment, fresh garden produce, crafts, and other unique vendors. Market Square, every Saturday at the corner of Central and Chaplin. Presented by Standard Motors, in partnership with Innovation Credit Union and Southwest TV News. Dockstown in Swift Current has become a summer favorite for many over the years. And in this report, we take a closer look at some of the attractions. This Southwest TV News Summer Around the Southwest feature is proudly brought to you by Innovation Credit Union. Imagine the possibilities. Dockstown is a unique stop on your summer travels through southwest Saskatchewan. Located off the number 4 highway on the Swift Current Exhibition Grounds, Dockstown takes you back in time, telling the story of rural life in the area.
We have a collection of 11 buildings. They're all heritage buildings. We have one of the most recent ones is the seed elevator, which came from the research station. We just celebrated the 100th anniversary of Ball's Blacksmith Shop last weekend, and the year before we celebrated the 100th anniversary of the Country Pleasures Tea Room, which had been the Linen Hall. And we just try to highlight the buildings. We're having an interdenominational church service in 2 weeks on the Sunday morning. Next week it's made by hand, so there'll be some crafts people out here demonstrating tasks that people had to know to live on the prairies, like knitting and rug hooking and that sort of thing.
Volunteer hosts dressed in period costumes are on hand to answer your questions, and are also busy inside the tea room, serving up an array of cuisine, from a slice of homemade pie to crepes.
But this is our way of making money for Dockstown. So anything to bring in, you know, give something that people like, whatever. We've an awful lot of regular supporters and customers, and so it's nice to give them something different every now and then. Their support is what we depend on.
Throughout the summer months, featured events are held at Dockstown, such as this afternoon jam session. Local entertainers showed off their musical talents, while encouraging many of the patrons to hit the dance floor. In addition to special themed events such as this afternoon of music, is a must-stop at the ever-popular blacksmith shop. A trade of days gone by, which comes to life each weekend by these volunteers. Pete LaRue is a familiar face in the community as the city's deputy fire chief, and has most recently taken an interest in blacksmithing.
Both of my grandfathers were farmers by trade, and part of what I'm learning here is that most farmers had a blacksmith kit, a blacksmith, hobby blacksmith kind of stuff, and because they needed to fix something, it wasn't out of they wanted to be crafty or interesting or have a hobby. Necessity said they had to fix things. So the other half of it too is that we've got a great historical park here that the guys who are here blacksmithing are getting a little bit older, and I mean, with the fire department, I realized that we were losing a lot of our history because there was no tie between the new people and the old people, and I think that was an important thing for me, is to maybe hang on to some of that history. Dockstown is open Friday through Sunday, 1 until 5 through the September long weekend.
with the tea room offering extended hours through October. Well, this brings to a close another episode of Southwest TV News, reporting the stories that matter to you. We always welcome your news tips. You can always reach us here by phone at our studio or by email to contact us at southwesttvnews.com. Also, be sure to join us daily online for the latest news from across Southwest Saskatchewan and so much more at MyLocalTV.ca. And be sure to follow us on a range of social media. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm Carol Andrews.